Hello, and thank you for joining us. Now we will be focusing on one fundamental topic that is of importance to all of us. And I want you to bring your attention closer for us to analyze it together because it has much to do with our life generally. For those who have concern about God and about the thereafter life, then it is significant for us to look at things as they are and then analyze it for our better understanding of salvation and of life both now and thereafter. Now, Islam teaches that according to chapter 2 of the Quran, verse 62, and chapter 5, verse 69, say that Christians and the Jews will all go to paradise with Allah. In other words, Allah is simply confirming the worship of the Christians, and the Jews and the Muslims are all going to Him, tilted to Him, and therefore He is all accepting the worship of the Christians and the Jews, and therefore they will all go to paradise with Him in the thereafter. Now, that sounds good, isn't it? It does, because it simply makes God or Allah to be a God of variety, a God who is willing to accept any form of worship regardless, since it is tilted towards Him, because this group of people, which is the Christians, the Jews, and the Muslims, all believe in one God, and therefore their worship is tilted to that same and one God, who is called Allah in the Arabic language. Now, that seems good and it makes sense, isn't it? Now, but we find something very disturbing, and that is why we are here to make this video, to draw your attention to know what actually is happening here. Now, Allah in chapter 98 of the Quran, verse 6, He is saying that the Christians, whom He had earlier on said that they will all go to heaven and paradise with Him, along the Jews, will now or are now the worst of creatures, and that they will all go to hell. In chapter 98, verse 6 of the Quran. Some of us are surprised. Why should Allah say in chapter 2 and chapter 5 of the Quran that the Christians and the Jews will all go to heaven and paradise with Him? And then later on in chapter 98, He is busy saying that the Christians will be in hell. And in fact, they are the worst of creatures. What is Allah trying to say here? Is it deceiving some people? Is the Allah truly one and the same God with the God of the Bible? Because He had earlier on claimed that in chapter 29 of the Quran, verse 46, Allah said, the God that the Christians and the Jews are worshipping is one and the same that the Muslims are bowing down to. Now, that's supposed to be true, and it should be, ideally, but looking at the character of Allah, it is not going to be true that He is one and the same God with the God of the Bible. Why? Because in chapter 14 of the Quran, verse 2 and 3, say that Allah, according to that verse, decides whom He leads astray, guide whom He wants, and mislead whom He wants. And in chapter 4 of the Quran, verse 142, equally said that Allah deceived people, because that verse clearly said that the hypocrites tried to deceive Allah, but Allah is the one deceiving them. Wow. Same is confirmed in chapter 3, verse 54. Now, we are worried about the character of Allah being able to lead other people astray and then guide others at His will, and being a deceiver. And we know who a deceiver is according to Jesus. In John chapter 8, verse 44, Jesus said that the devil is the liar. The deceiver is the devil, and he lies, and he is the father of all liars. And we equally see the same kind of attribute or character of Allah, misguiding and misleading people. And that is why, could it be why the Muslims, knowing this character of Allah, that makes the Muslim to keep praying to Allah to guide them on the right path? Maybe that is making sense now. Because in chapter 1 of the Quran, verse 5 to 6, and to 7, it's equally saying that the Muslims are praying every day for Allah to guide them on the right path, because they are not sure of what Allah can do, and Allah is certainly saying that He decides who to lead astray and He who to guide. And therefore, if He chooses to guide you, then it is under His discretion. If He chooses to lead you astray, you are in trouble. And then, who will then help us from Allah? If Allah can deceive, If Allah can misguide, if Allah can mislead, and if Allah is busy claiming to be one and the same God of the Bible, then who can help us from Allah? Who can help us? We are in trouble then. And that is why I want us to look at this critically. Analyze the character of this Allah, who is sending people to hell at will, who is misleading people at will, who is deceiving people at will. And we have found the characteristics of this Allah to be consistent with that of the devil. And that is why we are cautioning our brothers and sisters to have a critical look at this Allah and then have a rethink about his teachings and then take a decisive action against this Allah, because he is and cannot be the same God with the God of the Bible, because they are two opposite different persons in its entirety. Thank you very much. See you in the comment section, giving your opinion, giving your advice, and then letting us to know what you think for us to do about this Allah's claim. Thank you very much then.